Hello, Pewter people. Scott Reynolds here with another Pewter Pulse. The Bucs desperately need to find an alpha edge rusher in 2025, someone that can threaten the quarterback on a regular basis and is capable of double-digit sacks. Bucs general manager Jason Licht has found two such outside linebackers before in Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett. Can he do it again? Well, I've got a guy that the Bucs could and should target this offseason. I'll get to that in just a minute. But first, your reminder to hit the thumbs up button, give us a like, also leave a comment. Doing those two things helps us with the YouTube algorithm, gets us in front of more awesome Bucs fans just like you. And I love reading the comments. So thank you very much. Okay. Jason Licht has made a huge trade for an elite pass rusher before. Will he do it again this offseason? Let's talk about it. Back in 2018, the New York Giants were undergoing a coaching change and switching to a 3-4 defense, and the team wasn't sure if defensive end Jason Pierre-Paul was going to be a fit. So Jason Licht fleeced Giants general manager Dave Gettleman into sending JPP to Tampa Bay in exchange for a third-round pick. In 2018, Pierre-Paul, who also went to school here in Tampa at USF, became the first double-digit sacker in Tampa Bay with 12 and a half sacks since Simeon Rice last did that in 2005. Pierre-Paul came to Tampa Bay at age 29 and wound up recording 33 sacks in his 4 seasons with the Bucs, making the Pro Bowl in 2020 and helping the team win Super Bowl 55 that year, while teaming up with fellow outside linebacker Shaq Barrett, who was signed in free agency a year prior in 2019. Maybe it's time that Jason Licht makes another trade for a proven pass rusher. I know that Bucs fans want Licht to make a trade with new Las Vegas GM John Spytek, who is fresh off of his time here in Tampa Bay, for Pro Bowl pass rusher Max Crosby. But Crosby is still 28 and will likely cost a first-rounder. Crosby is more of a power rusher in the vein of Yaya Diaby, too. What the Bucs need is some speed off the edge, like Shaq Barrett had in his prime, to really complement Diaby. Cincinnati's 4-time Pro Bowler Trey Hendrickson could be available via trade this offseason. And because he's 30 and turns 31 later this year, it might only take a second rounder to acquire him, especially in a year with a lot of talented edge rushers in the draft. There may not be as much demand for Hendrickson via trade from other teams. Hendrickson is entering a contract year in which he's set to make $15.8 million in base salary and will have an $18.7 million cap hit. Trading him could free up $16 million in needed cap room for the Bengals, because they're going to need that to sign Pro Bowl receiver Jamar Chase to a massive extension. Hendrickson is coming off of back-to-back years in which he recorded 17 and a half sacks, 2024 and 2023. Keep in mind that all of Tampa Bay's outside linebackers totaled only 12 sacks last year combined. And Hendrickson's game is predicated off speed and a quick get-off, just like Shaq Barrett in his prime. Even though Hendrickson has good size and is actually bigger than Barrett at 6'4", 266 pounds. He also has some great leadership qualities, is a great locker room guy, and he brings high energy and hustle to the table. Hendrickson has been a sack machine since his final season in New Orleans in 2020, when he notched 13 and a half sacks that season. In 4 Pro Bowl seasons with the Bengals, he's recorded 57 of his 77 career sacks. And even though he'll only turn 31 later this year, he's showing no signs of slowing down. Heck, the Bucs would settle for 10 sacks from an edge rusher the way things have been going, let alone 17 and a half, right? There might be the temptation to save a draft pick and not do a trade and maybe sign an elite edge rusher in free agency like Khalil Mack, who still has it, even though he'll turn 34 on February 22nd. But Mack will want a massive payday, either to stay with the Chargers or go to another team in free agency. He had 17 sacks in 2023, but only 6 last year. At 34, Mack is closer to losing a step than Hendrickson, who is 4 years younger, so Hendrickson might be the better long-term investment for Tampa Bay. He'll require a contract extension too, should the Bucs acquire him in a deal. There are a couple of other interesting free agent edge rushers that the Bucs might consider, like Philadelphia's Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick from the New York Jets. Sweat had a career high 11 sacks in 2022 and followed that up with 6.5 the next season and had 8 last year. But he's more of a power rusher like Yaya Diaby. Reddick was traded from the Eagles to the Jets, but sat out the first 7 games due to a contract dispute and finished with just 1 sack. Reddick is even smaller than Shaq Barrett. He checks in at 6'1", 240 pounds, and he relies on speed to win. But that 1 sack in 10 games last year in New York is alarming, considering he's coming off of 5 straight double-digit sack seasons prior to 2024. And he wants a massive contract extension coming off of his holdout situation in New York last year. Does he truly have a lot of bargaining power coming off of a 1 sack season? Does that sound like a guy that Jason Licht would want to deal with? I don't know. What I do know is Jason Pierre-Paul was 32 when he helped the Bucs win Super Bowl 55 in 2020, a year in which he had 9.5 sacks. With Tampa Bay having a pair of promising young pass rushers in Yaya Diaby and Chris Braswell already on the team, Braswell was last year's second-round pick, it feels like the Bucs need an established edge rusher, a veteran that can produce sacks off the edge. Drafting an edge rusher has not been Jason Licht's forte. Former second-rounder back in 2016, Noah Spence was a bust, and the first-round pick in 2021, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, has not lived up to expectations. The jury's still out on Yaya Diaby and Chris Braswell, although I'm still pretty high on both of those guys, and I just wish they had better coaching. And we'll see if either one of them or both can become an upper echelon pass rusher in time and maybe get to double digits. Maybe Licht finds another edge rusher in this year's draft in the first or second round and actually hits on one. But with 2 young outside linebackers already on the team, why not just make a trade for an established guy, a proven commodity, an elite rusher like Hendrickson, who was born in Orlando, went to Apopka High School, same high school as Warren Sapp, and then went to Florida Atlantic University. Maybe a change of scenery and a return to his home state in Florida will work out and help the Bucs win another Super Bowl. After all, that's what happened with Jason Pierre-Paul. Well, folks, we appreciate all the support we've gotten at our Pewter Report TV YouTube channel, where you can find my Pewter Pulse videos, Adam Slavon's top 10 takeaways, the Pewter Report podcast, and other great video content about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and notifications. That lets you know when we go live with any new videos. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram at Pewter Report on social media, and visit pewterreport.com for all of the coaching change news this offseason, free agency, and the draft coverage as well. Nobody covers the Bucs offseason like Pewter Report. And I'll be back soon with the new Pewter Pulse.